Hey there, House of the Dragon fans! House of the Dragon Season 3's second episode just dropped, and it is absolute cinema. Maybe it's just me, but oh boy, Rhaenyra and Daemon served couple goals. But with each passing episode, it's becoming increasingly clear that the show is taking a whole lot of creative liberties and differing from Martin's original work. And that's exactly where our curiosity about what happened to these characters in the books comes from. In today's video, it'll be Daemon Targaryen, and despite Matt Smith now being the poster child of an eccentric Targaryen prince, the book is no less intriguing. Are you ready? Let's get started. Prince Daemon Targaryen was born to Alyssa Targaryen and Balon Targaryen in 81 AC. Daemon was the younger brother of King Viserys Targaryen I and was considered one of the most experienced warriors of his time. Honestly, even when Matt Smith is wielding the Valyrian steel blade, Dark Sister, and slicing off heads in the show, I can't help but think what a brilliant swordsman this prince was. Mind you, he has a dragon, yet he chooses hand-to-hand combat and pretty much nails it. Coming back to his stories in the book, we mostly know about him from the Chronicles of Archmaester Gyldain. When Daemon was born, King Jaehaerys Targaryen I was ruling, and he also had a younger brother, Aegon, who died in infancy. Daemon always had this adventurous, frankly reckless streak in him, and turns out, his mother Alyssa might have been the one behind encouraging it. Alyssa was a strong-spirited woman who loved to boast that she was as bawdy a wench as any barmaid in King's Landing. And when Daemon was born, she took him flying on Melis within a fortnight. I guess now we know where Daemon gets his free-spirited nature from. By the time he was 16, Daemon was knighted, and ever since he began wielding Dark Sister, which was given to him by his grandfather. As with the royals, he got married pretty soon in 97 AC to Lady Rhea Royce, who was the heir to Runestone, but he wasn't happy. Neither his wife nor the Vale of Arryn satisfied him. Thus, in the Great Council in 101 AC, Daemon supported Viserys' claim to the Iron Throne, knowing it would make him heir after his brother. He gathered a small army of men-at-arms and sworn swords, and there was a rumor that Lord Corlys Velaryon was preparing a fleet to defend his son Laenor Velaryon's rights. However, Viserys managed to sit on the Iron Throne, but during his reign, his relationship with Daemon became tumultuous. He asked Viserys to set aside his marriage with Lady Rhea, but he refused, and Daemon was growing increasingly agitated. The man had been defeated twice by Sir Criston Cole, an attorney for King Viserys' accession in 104 AC, and by this time he was also known for frequenting the Street of Silk and keeping mistresses. Yes, Miss Arya happens to be one of the most famous ones, but Daemon kept multiple paramours. His activities were slowly getting out of hand, and during this time, King Viserys made him Master of Laws and then Master of Coins. But it's Daemon we're talking about. Of course, administrative matters and governance did not excite him, and the King's Hand, Otto Hightower, then suggested to Viserys to remove him from the small council. Viserys then made him commander of the City Watch, which required him to spend most of his time at the barracks of the City Watch. However, what Otto didn't see coming was Daemon's success with the Watch. He maintained the gold cloaks for about a year and had 2,000 men at his command, making him even more powerful. The gold cloaks became loyal to him, and Prince Daemon improved their armaments, and in fact, it was he who began the tradition of gold cloaks. He was also known for inflicting severe punishments, and consequently, crime rates sharply declined under his command. Unfortunately, these achievements could not inspire him to change his lifestyle, and Daemon became familiar to every gambler and prostitute, earning him the disrespectful nickname Lord of Fleabottom. On the other hand, Viserys was in no mood to name Daemon as his heir, hoping he would father a son someday, and even refused his brother the title of Prince of Dragonstone. To Viserys' amusement, his first wife did successfully give birth to a son, after the first one died in the cradle. Balon Targaryen was born, but Aemma died during labor, and right before Viserys could wrap his head around everything that he had gained and lost, Balon died after a day. A rogue and drunk Daemon, desperate for his heirship, did not think once before making the distasteful comment about baby Balon's death, when he called him heir for a day. Viserys had enough of Daemon's follies, and furious, he declared his eldest daughter Rhaenyra Targaryen as heir to the throne, and Princess of Dragonstone, to get back at his brother. An enraged Daemon resigned from the City Watch, and flew on his dragon Caraxes to Dragonstone with his mistress Mysaria. Daemon and Viserys' bond would get even more sour when Mysaria got pregnant with Daemon's child. He wanted to give her a dragon egg, but Viserys could not stand Daemon's infidelity and ordered him to return the egg and go back to his wife, Lady Royce. Daemon decided to send Mysaria to Lys, but sadly her ship sailed through a storm in the Narrow Sea and she lost the child. Daemon now antagonized Viserys even more. As a result, he plotted to claim his own kingdom and joined hands with Corlys Velaryon. The two launched a private war for the Stepstones, and Corlys' incentive was to get rid of the Triarchy's rule there. He provided his Velaryon fleet, while Daemon offered his dragon power. Within 2 years, by 108 AC, Daemon managed to conquer all except 2 islands and declared himself king of the Stepstones and Narrow Sea, and was even crowned by the sea snake, Corlys. However, he once again got bored of ruling his meager kingdom and retired to King's Landing, and reconciled with Viserys by offering him his Stepstones crown. Viserys too welcomed back his brother and gave him a small seat on the council, but Daemon remained the same. He went back to the brothels, took up with his old pals from the City Watch, and clearly disliked Viserys' new wife Alicent Hightower, who birthed 2 sons, thus pushing him further down in the line of succession. Around then, he started spending a little too much time with his niece Rhaenyra, the declared heir to the throne. He told her adventurous stories, took her hawking, praised her beauty, and mocked the Greens. Daemon also showered her with gifts, books, pearls, and whatnot. Within 6 months, Septon Eustace claimed that Daemon had seduced Rhaenyra and took her maidenhood before her 16th birthday, and the two were found by Sir Eric Cargill of the Kingsguard. The Septon even alleged that Rhaenyra professed her love for Daemon. A whole lot of nasty politics played between him, Rhaenyra, and Criston Cole, and ultimately, Viserys exiled his brother. Daemon returned to the Stepstones, but abandoned it after his first wife, Lady Rhea Royce, died after falling from a horse. He flew out to the Vale to claim Runestone, but was prohibited from doing so by House Royce and Lady Jane Eyre. Daemon was now losing his mind for acclaim, and that's when he turned his eyes to Laena Velaryon, Corlys' daughter. Since Laena was already betrothed to the son of a late Sea Lord of Braavos, Daemon killed the Braavosi with Dark Sister in a duel. The two became parents of the twins, Rhaena and Baela, and that's when Daemon begged to present her daughters in the royal court, and Viserys agreed. In the meantime, Rhaenyra was married off to Laena's brother, Sir Laenor Velaryon, but was killed in 120 AC by his companion Sir Carl Corey. Laena too died in childbirth, and thus many historians believed it was Daemon who arranged Sir Laenor's death. That same year, Lionel Strong and his heir, Sir Harwin, died in a mysterious fire in Harrenhal, and many believe that since Rhaenyra's sons, Jacaerys and Lucerys' lineage, was questioned and Sir Harwin was believed to be their father, Daemon orchestrated that murder too. With both their respective parents dead, Daemon and Rhaenyra got married without King Viserys' knowledge, and it was considered a scandal since neither Laena nor Sir Laenor had been dead for even 6 months. Yet the two chose each other and later had 2 sons, Prince Aegon the Younger and Prince Viserys. When Lord Corlys fell seriously ill in 126 AC, Rhaenyra urged him to name Lucerys as his heir, but Corlys' nephew Sir Vaemon Velaryon objected to the claim. Rhaenyra then had Vaemon seized and beheaded by Daemon, who ended up being Syrax's meal. By this time, the two already showed what they could do together when the Civil War, the Dance of Dragons, began, after Viserys' death in 129 AC. Daemon stood by Rhaenyra like a pillar. Though she was previously announced to be Viserys' heir, the Greens kept the king's death a secret from her, and Daemon and Alicent's son, Aegon the Elder, was crowned as King Aegon Targaryen II, due to Otto Hightower and Criston Cole's conspiracy. When Rhaenyra learned about this, she gave birth to a stillborn daughter and blamed the Greens for it, and during Rhaenyra's rival coronation at Dragonstone, Daemon himself placed the crown of King Jaehaerys Targaryen I on her head, proclaiming her queen and himself as the protector of the realm. Daemon then turned the world upside down to gather forces for Rhaenyra, and led an assault on Harrenhal, capturing the ruined castle. His victory brought the Riverlands and Rhaenyra's support, and later he even took Stonehenge from the Greens. After hearing about his stepson Prince Lucerys Velaryon's death at the hands of Prince Aemon Targaryen, Daemon sought revenge. He used Mysaria and hired Blood, a butcher who once served in the City Watch, and Cheese, a rat catcher in the Red Keep, as assassins, and the instruction was simple: a son for a son. The two murdered Aegon II's son, Prince Jaehaerys, and made matters worse between House Black and House Green. Then, in the Battle of the Gullet, Daemon and Rhaenyra lost another son, Prince Jacaerys, and fuming with grief and anger, Daemon assisted Rhaenyra on Caraxes, who flew to King's Landing on Syrax. Both Aegon II and Prince Aemon were away from the capital at this time, so they infiltrated the Red Keep without much struggle, thanks to their dragons and Daemon's old companions at City Watch. However, after sitting on the Iron Throne, Rhaenyra wanted Aemon and Vhagar, who were wreaking havoc on the Riverlands, and sent Daemon and a lowborn teenager Nettles with her wild dragon Sheepstealer to find them. Meanwhile, the two dragon seeds, Sir Ulf White and Sir Hugh Hammer, had betrayed Rhaenyra, and Daemon decided to confront Aemon and Vhagar on his dragon Caraxes, which led to a major aerial fight known as the Battle Above the God's Eye. The four fought fiercely, and the two dragons grappled with each other. Caraxes slammed into Vhagar and locked his jaws on her neck. As his claws kept on tightening around Vhagar's neck, she tore Caraxes' wing and her claws opened Caraxes' belly. It is said that Daemon leapt from his saddle onto Vhagar and drove his blade through Aemon's empty eye socket, when both dragons collided and came crashing down in the God's Eye Lake. Both Aemon and Daemon died in the fight, along with their dragons, though Caraxes managed to pull himself out of the water and died in front of the walls of Harrenhal. However, some fans believe that Daemon did not actually die because his body was never recovered. Aemon's skeletal remains, still chained to his saddle on Vhagar, were found, and that's exactly why Daemon's fate remained ambiguous in the books. The thing is, when Daemon and Nettles made Maidenpool their base while searching for Aemon and Vhagar, it was unlikely that Daemon would grow fond of the 17-year-old dragon seed. However, according to Mushroom's testimony, Daemon did in fact fall in love with Nettles and even slept with her. Moreover, the chronicles of Maidenpool recorded by Maester Norrin that the prince and his bastard girl slept in adjoining bedrooms, and that they were intimate. Daemon was said to have taught Nettles some common courtesy and even showed her how to wash herself properly. Apparently, they would share a single tub, washing one another. When Rhaenyra learnt about this, she ordered Nettles to be beheaded and claimed that the girl used spells to claim Sheepstealer and seduce her lord husband. However, she didn't want to harm Daemon and sent word for him to return to King's Landing at once. When Daemon was informed that Rhaenyra had declared Nettles a traitor, he realized Miss Arya's hand in it and helped Nettles escape on Sheepstealer. They were not known to share any last words, but when Sheepstealer flew away, Caraxe's scream broke all the windows of Jonquil's tower. And on the same day, Daemon announced his departure for Harrenhal. And that's how the rumor began that Daemon might have been alive after the battles against Aemon and Vhagar, and spent the rest of his life hiding with Nettles. While there's no validity to this claim, the show might get some ideas from this gap. Alright guys, that's all for today. Daemon Targaryen was a true warrior, and as far as Targaryen blood goes, he was quite an example of it. His support for Rhaenyra when she claimed the throne is one of my favorite parts of the story, but sadly, his flamboyant history made it difficult to celebrate them together. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!